Hello everyone, we're here in the beautiful setting of Upton Park. My name is James East, I am the Senior Minister at Dorchester Baptist Church, and I'm here with a really good friend, my friend Camilla Hawley. Camilla is the Community Volunteer Organiser for a marvellous charity called Safe Families. And the reason we're here today is we're going to find out all about it. I'm going to have a lovely chat with Camilla, and she's going to share various things about this organisation. Camilla, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, this is a place that's familiar to you already, as far as I have been led to believe.
Yeah, I started my life as a teacher and I did my training here at Upton Park, so it's old haunt for me.
That sounds marvellous. Now, Safe Families, tell me, what is that all about? Give us a little summary of what Safe Families is.
So we really believe that the church is uniquely placed to be a place of connection and hope and belonging for people. And there are so many people in the country today, so many families who are increasingly isolated, struggling so much in their sort of day-to-day lives. And we really see ourselves a bit like glorified matchmakers. How can we link churches and people in churches and community groups with people in their community who are just struggling and suffering? And so we work alongside local authorities to do that, in partnership then with the churches and on behalf of the churches, to just help release people in the safest, best possible way to bring life and hope to people in their neighbourhoods.
That sounds marvellous. How did you yourself get involved?
Well, really interesting story for me personally. I was working as a teacher, and I was also working with a lot of people who'd been in addiction as well. So I would be at school in the day, and in the evening at home I'd be doing a lot of work with people in drug dependency. And I began to realise, as I heard people's stories, the number of them that had been through the care system. And I would then go into school the next morning and just realise that if we didn't do something to help the families of these kids, they would be around my dinner table in 17 years' time in a similar position. And I remember standing on the beach and screaming at God and saying, "You need to do something about this. I can't keep doing this." And that Sunday in my church, my now boss Chris stood up and shared about Safe Families. And I thought, well, sign me up as a volunteer. I thought, I'm in. I'd love to do that. And I found myself applying for the job, and here I am 4.5 years later. Still really loving it and still so passionate about it. And I remember somebody once saying, if you ask God to move a mountain, be prepared to wake up next to a shovel. And so I really feel that Safe Families is my shovel, and it's just an absolute joy and a privilege to see on a daily basis the huge impact that the church can have.
I think that's wonderful. That sounds marvellous. Now, I want to know how individual people in a church can get involved, or maybe how can a whole church get involved? What can people do?
There are so many different ways. We're a really relational organisation, and we just think there's a place in Safe Families for everybody if they want to be.
Right.
And so we'll work with churches, particularly if there's a particular thing they want to be able to see in their neighbourhoods and communities. We'll come alongside to see if we can help them do that. But also with individuals and families, we've got different ways that people can get involved. So it could be that you think, I've got a bit of time, I'd really love to give, maybe an hour a week. And so we can train you to be a family friend, to go out into the community, to meet with a family who's particularly isolated or struggling, to help them work towards goals that they really feel would help their family to thrive. And it can be any number of things, from some help decluttering their home, to being a listening ear for a parent, to helping them learn how to cook healthy meals or go for a dog walk or something like that. And equally, it could be that you think, we've got a spare room in our house. We could have kids to stay for a night or 2 nights just to give parents a little bit of a break and a breather. Or you could think, we could be there in an emergency as well. So if a parent had to go into hospital, at the moment, if there's no one else to look after those children, those children are having to go into foster care. And so we just think, no, the community can do that. We can come alongside and help that family when that parent has to go into hospital, or if there's a big need in that family. And equally, people have got stuff in their homes, in their lofts, just dining tables or cots or all those sorts of things. And actually we can say, well, look, we can match people with stuff with the people who need stuff in your neighbourhood. And so those are some of the ways that we do. Kind of people can give of their time. and their resource, and also to come alongside us and pray. You know, our social workers across the country are stretched, and we love to pray for them and pray for families. And you know, we've got a big dream to see, you know, people across the UK, families. Our dream is really that we could do something about this loneliness epidemic that we see. And so prayer is our powerhouse, and we love to pray, and then give as well. You know, our dream, at the moment we're part match funded by the local authorities, but actually our dream is to be able to match that. So if we could match that, what we could innovate as resources for the church then to minister into their communities is massive. And so at the minute we're slightly constrained, but our dream is to be able to say, look, if a local authority is saying, hey, can the church help us with our mums and babies? Can they help us with the teenagers that we're seeing in struggling? We can say absolutely yes, and we can powerfully and well resource the church to be able to go out into the community and meet those needs that those local authorities are recognising, because they love safe families and they recognise the place of the church. They recognise the importance that community has to play. And so we really want to just more and more envision the church really for the role that they have to play within communities, and actually the massive importance and huge impact that it is having already across the nation, but continuing so as well.
That is so exciting. The thing that thrills me most about it is the fact that there is nothing worse than a church which just becomes a middle class social club, somewhere where you go and kind of have a little bit of a chat, a quick cup of coffee, and then go home. A church should be a living, dynamic, working place where people are blessed and people are served. And I'm all in favour of any organisation that makes that easier for churches. So as I understand it, churches can hook up with you really without a great deal of effort. You've made it very easy for us to connect with you, to partner with you, and to draw alongside you in this good work. So how would a church do that from start to finish? How would a church become best mates with safe families?
No, we've got some great mates. Honestly, there are lots of different ways, but really at the heart of it is like, we know how hard it can be in this day and age to be out in the communities in different ways, with safeguarding, with the red tape, with all of that stuff, and that stuff is so important, but we really want to be there in the background doing all of that stuff, so churches don't have to, essentially. So our team is made up of professionals, so we've got ex-social workers on our team, people who are well used within in that kind of local authority world. We have incredible, just the policies, the procedures, the recruitment in place, everything is there as a really safe model to be able to essentially act as the safety net for the church to do the stuff. And so but because we're so relational as well, we love connection and we love to talk. So all we'd say is just get in touch with us. We're across the country working with local authorities, from here to Northern Ireland to Scotland to Wales, all over the place. And so there's likely to be a hub near to churches wherever they find themselves, and to just get in touch with us. We would love to take you for lunch, take you for coffee, have a chat, get to know you, get to know your heart for your community and your church, and work out where does your hunger for your community and where does our deep joy meet, and how can we partner together to really see you impact those around you in the most profound ways.
So a bespoke portfolio for each church that you meet with that want to get involved and do various things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the way in which I understand it, the social services interventions in people's lives are tremendously expensive and take a vast number of resources, and yet around the country social services themselves are asking safe families for help and are saying maybe you can step in and do something and save one of these expensive interventions. So it strikes me that works in all kinds of directions. It's saving money for families that really need an intense support, and it is sparing families the trauma of going through intense support.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds just marvellous.
Yeah.
And you've got examples of that, I presume. We can't talk about very specific names and what have you, but not far away from where we are in Dorchester, I know that there are things going on in Weymouth. Any examples from there of success stories and positive things?
Yeah, I could give you 1,000. It's just beautiful, just the story. We call them stories of hope.
Yes.
And regularly we feed them back into kind of our staff team and wider as well. I mean, from Weymouth, we've got beautiful stories of, there was a lovely pair of grandparents who found themselves the special guardians of their grandchild after their daughter couldn't look after their children anymore. So here they find themselves in their 70s, suddenly now doing nappies and school runs and all of those sorts of things, and just they weren't as fit as they used to be, and actually that life change has had a massive impact on them, and it was looking like they wouldn't be able to carry on in having their grandchild in their care, because it was just too hard for them. And so they referred in to say Families, and we said, well, look, what would really help? And they were like, we need a bit of a break every now and again. You know, we can't take the kids maybe to do some of the things that we would love to see them do. And so we connected them then with a great couple in Weymouth who take the kids just for a day on the weekend, and maybe they go out for a walk or a bike ride, or they'll go to the park and just give the grandparents a bit of a breather and a bit of a break. And then it was going so well, they said, well, look, why don't we have them just to stay for the night? Let's give you a weekend once a month or so you can have a bit of a breather. And that's what they do. And so now they'll just take those kids once every 6 weeks or so, just have them overnight, and that is actually all that those grandparents have really needed to just be able to keep that relationship going. And so that's just, for us, we just think that's amazing, because the very best place for that child is with their grandparents, and just knowing that as the church we've been able to facilitate that family staying together has meant that actually that the life chances for those children are going to be dramatically increased, and so much better as a result. So that's just one story of many. And you know, we had another story of a mum who had to go into hospital to have a baby, nobody to look after her children, so they were looking at putting the children into care, or into foster care for that time. And we just said, no, well, look, we can just take them for a few days, that's all it needs to be. We can look after them, let's save them having to go down that route. And so we did, just looked after those kids. They had a great time with a family up here in Dorchester, and then went back to be with mum when she came out of hospital. And then we carried on supporting mum just while she was kind of going through those early stages of a newborn, and making sure that she had enough, you know, nappies or whatever it is that she needed as well. And so just watching the church come alongside then with meals and with all those other things for that family, whereas they wouldn't have had that otherwise.
So it strikes me this is intentional, really good friendship in Christ's name.
Yes.
And you offer what you've got. If you are some kind of genius who can do finances and things like that, you might be able to help a family in that way. But I guess if you've got nothing more than a drill and some screws and bolts, you can put up a shelf, fix a door, really make a difference, save a little family money, bless them, draw alongside them, and all carefully safeguarded. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's really at the heart of everything that we do. You know, we want the best for kids, we want the best for families, we want the best for the church, and we really believe, because we so believe that the church is so uniquely placed, that actually with incredible structures and supports around the local authorities, they trust their families, and we really act on behalf of the church. And so, you know, we say, look, if you trust us, you can trust the church. And for years, I think as the church, we felt like we're not maybe welcome in some spaces that we perhaps used to be hundreds of years ago, and but we're really saying actually that's where we're meant to be, and continuing to be so more and more and more in lots of different ways as we work alongside lots of organisations who are bringing life and hope in so many ways, be it through debt relief, through providing food, through all of these things. I think as the church we've got this incredible opportunity to really see the social fabric shift in the UK, and for us we're all about connection and relationship and people, and how we can build that part of this incredible jigsaw of the church.
Camilla, I am really in a privileged position to be the minister at Dorchester Baptist Church, and it has been such a joy. I'm relatively new there, to get to know the people, but I know they have a real heart for the things you've described. I know that there is a passion in their midst. In fact, one member of the congregation has already got involved with you, and that's wonderful. So tell me, what kind of thing can we do as a church, as Dorchester Baptist Church, to go to the next stage with you, to partner with you, and to start to encourage people to be a part of all that you're doing?
I mean, the biggest need that we've got at the moment across kind of the Weymouth Dorchester area is definitely for family friends.
Right.
So people who can go and meet families either in their home, or even connect friends, you know, who are maybe can't go to meet family in the home but can maybe have a call on the telephone, something like that. We do have families on our books waiting for support, so it is, if people come forward, they will be very well used. So absolutely that, and some host families as well. And what people can do if they want to is a bit like the story I shared is, you may find yourself friending with a family, and then it will turn into maybe a hosting a little bit down the line. And so if there are, that's often what social workers are looking for at the minute, is that as well, is looking for that bit of then additional support, kind of maybe a few months down the line, after COVID and all that sort of thing. So those are the big ones, the biggest needs that we've got. We love, prayer partners joining together with prayer. And if people are feeling like they're moved to partner financially as well, we would love that too. So really the big one for us at the minute is around sort of people who've got maybe an hour a week, bit of time to go and meet with a family would be incredible. And then I know also that you, within your church, you've got people who are connected in all sorts of different ways to all sorts of different things. Or any kind of that knowledge as well is fantastic, so that we can connect families well then into other stuff that's going on in your community, which is really powerful too. So
that's marvellous. It's good to know. The things that kind of reassure me are along these lines. Number one, you're already using our building for training, aren't you?
Yes, yeah.
You're coming along to do training there. I'm reassured that there is training. It isn't just a pamphlet that tells me some things I might like to try, but that I'm going to be checked out. I get my DBS check, all of those different things that are essential for safeguarding.
Yeah.
And I'm protected because I'm well trained and well supported by you as an organisation.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. And the fact that there is a list of people, of families who are crying out for help, who are asking for help, and there aren't the volunteers, there aren't the people to help them. That's just heartbreaking. I know that people will hear that and they'll want to be involved.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Yeah, and the process isn't that arduous as well, which is quite in order to become a volunteer. So I think sometimes think, oh my goodness, if we're going to do this and social care are involved, it must be kind of quite a lot. But it's not massively arduous. It's thorough, but we take 3 references, a DBS check. We do a one-to-one, and actually most people find that really quite a cathartic process, and it's just where one of our team will come meet your family and just find out about you, and just find a bit of your life journey, your life story, some of the things you've done, and also just some of the things that may have been traumas for you in your background, because what we find is that a lot of our volunteers have been through really horrendous things, and actually they come to Safe Families because they're like, oh, I want to be able to help somebody who's I get it, I know what they went through and I want to be able to help. And there are others as well who may not have been through horrendous heartache, but actually think I've got something that I want to give, and we love to hear from those people as well. So we do the one-to-one, and then there's training. So we've got 2 online modules which are both done live on Zoom, and then we do a module 3, which is our kind of face-to-face, which that's what we're using your building for, which is just then a couple of hours to be able to release then people to go into the community and meet people face-to-face and to host kids and all that stuff as well.
Camilla, we are looking forward to welcoming you, and it's our prayer that we will be able to get alongside you and see what the Lord does using your expertise and our volunteers.
Oh, that's it. And for me, I'm really excited that we get to help you envision your dream for Dorchester and how we can help you to do that as well. So it's great both ways for us.
Thank you so much for driving from Bournemouth to see us today here at Upton Park. I think it's time for a quick stroll to the cafe and a coffee.
Absolutely. We'll see you there.
Brilliant.